Why, happy Thursday. I'd like to say it was a glorious day, but it's not really a glorious day. Not because the topic I'm talking about is because the place I work at is having issues with their food. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but it is about, I guess, 72 outside. I forgot to check my temperature in the car. It is very overcast and it is slightly raining. I guess it's more like drizzling, which is causing a lot of traffic in Austin, Texas, mixed with the country music award thing going on. I don't really follow country music, so I don't know. With that being said, you're not here to listen to me complain about Austin traffic. You're here for me to talk about Sgt Daniel Perry murder case. That's right. This is day two. This was published. Let's see here. I will publish 29 and updated today. Austin, day two of testimony wrapped up in Austin Wednesday in the murder trial of rideshare driver accused of killing a demonstrator of social justice protests in downtown Austin. Sergeant Daniel Perry said that he shot Gary Foster in self-defense when Foster raised his rifle at him. Jury on Wednesday heard Foster's partner, Whitney Michelle, and his roommate, Jeremy Lett. Michelle teared up when asked about the night of the shooting. During her testimony, she remembered Perry's car traveling towards the protester, including Lett, Foster, and herself. I remember Garrett saying, "Move on," and all I remember is hearing gunshots. And Garrett said, "Just fell over in front of me." And then the car sped off, and I jumped out of the chair. Mitchell, who travels in a wheelchair after having her arms and legs amputated. Let's see here. After Mitchell gave her, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I hope I am. Gave her testimony. Lett took the stand. He said when Perry's car drove through the car, not the car, but when Perry's car drove through the crowd that night, he kicked the car in anger. Oh, so you provoked this. You kicked him, according to you, leading Perry to stop. In the confrontation, Perry shot Foster. Lett remembers the gunfire. When the car left, I tried to put pressure on his wounds, Lett said. Defense also asked Lett about the rifle Foster carried during a protest. Lett gave a demonstration of how he remembered Foster holding it. 5 other witnesses testified on Wednesday, including 2 people that were at the protest when Foster was shot. The jury also heard from the detective with forensic unit and data analyst from Travis County District Office who analyzes the phone. The trial will resume again on Thursday morning. Let's see here. This is March 28th. So apparently there was some trial on Monday, but I'm going to be. Let's see here. This was 7 hours ago. So this is also Amanda Roots. Amanda Roots, Fox 7 is the Twitter handler or handle. Let's see here. Good morning. Today, the murder trial of Daniel Perry continues. I was able to catch Perry walking to the courtroom this morning. The jury is expected to hear more witness testimony. I'll be updating this thread throughout the day. First witness is Whitney Michelle. She is Garrett Foster's wife. Frequently attended protests with them. She's currently on the stand and seems very upset. Counselor sitting next to her as support. The state is asking Whitney questions about the life with Foster. They first started dating when they were 17 years old in high school when Whitney is a quadriplegic amputee and says Foster was her primary caretaker and took care of all of my needs. She says the night that the incident happened, the date 7/25, year 2020, Foster and her friend went to the protest outside of Austin Police Department headquarters, or Austin Police Department headquarters. When the march began, a friend pushed her in a wheelchair while her husband marched with the protesters in the back. Those protesters, like Foster's, had guns. She recalls Foster had a rifle slinged across his chest and it was pointed downwards. While her friend was pushing Whitney near 4th and Congress, she saw a car turning, coming fast towards her. The crowd of protesters. The car jerked and stopped only a few feet away from her. She said when Foster came up, she stood in front of her. Through tears, she recalls Foster telling the driver to move on, and that's when she heard gunshots. Foster fell to the ground in front of her, which is very terrible. I mean, it's very tragic. She said when he fell to the ground, she jumped out of her chair. She said that he fell on his back. Whitney said Foster met members of the Texas guerrilla militia that night of the incident. Defense asked her if Foster ever took the rifle to the gun range. She said yes, but I believe that's something that most people do with guns. The state presented a photo previous shown to the jury as evidence where Whitney was during the encounter with the driver. She confirmed it was right behind Foster. Next witness, Jerry Millette, who was the friend pushing Whitney around during the protest. He said Foster and Whitney would attend marches and protests often, around 4 to 5 times a week. Let recalls seeing the other people at the protests holding large guns. He said that he never seen people seen those people at any protest before. He said the car came at him with Whitney saying that he kicked the car when it passed because he was upset to see it driving through the crowd. The crowd instantly stopped when he did that, or the car instantly stopped when he did that. He said he saw the driver doors start to open and heard Foster said, "Hey, stay in the car." Then he recalled seeing Foster gesture his guns like move on. Let's said it looked away, and that's when he heard the gunshots. Is that you, Lab? Oh no, that's someone else. Um, let's see. He says the car came at him. Whitney says he kicked the car. Blah 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 blah. Driving through the crowd. Stop. He said the driver opened the door. Let's see. Is there anything more? I mean, there's definitely more. Let's see here. Demonstrator said, "Get back in the car." To the jury, he lifted both hands upward position, saying that it was emotional that Foster did when saying that phrase to the driver. Let confirmed that he was not willing to meet with the police in reference to the incident. He met with someone in the DA's office and did not reveal that he kicked the car at first. Yes, the defense pulled out a mock rifle and let demonstrate how Foster was holding his gun. The defense demonstrated how Foster could have walked with the rifle to the car that night and caused Foster's family in the front row to cry out in shock. Next witness named Julian Gowell. He was a 23-year-old student who joined the march on July 25th, 2020. The fourth witness that day was Michael Cappuccino. He was a protester there that night of the incident. He agrees with the previous witness saying Foster was holding his rifle pointing down, but he does not recall a strap on the gun. The next witness, Stephanie Diaz, an analyst with the district attorney office, said that she reviewed Daniel Perry's cell phone data. She analyzed Facebook messages, comments made by Perry, messages, and comments like, "I might have to kill a few people on my way to work. They are riding outside of my apartment complex, and no protesters going near me or my car." The next witness, Michael Holcomb, Perry's childhood friend. Perry messaged Holcomb twice, referencing two separate incidents where someone shot the protesters and asked if they were on the right or if they were in the right. The messages were sent a month before the incident of July 25th, 2020. The next witness was Detective William Bursley with the Austin Police Department. He's a forensic examiner. He examines Perry's phone call to extract data from it. The state is now presenting his findings to the juries, including text sent by Perry. He's like, I might go to Dallas to shoot looters. Searches made in Perry presented on Safari search. Oh, searches made by Perry also presented on Safari search made before July 20th prompted results to protests tonight. Protesters in Seattle get shot, riot shootouts, and protests in Dallas live. Not really sure what that really means, to be honest, but this is day 3. Day 3 of witness testimony begins this morning in the murder trial of Daniel Perry, following the threads for updates. Court kicked off with the state presenting a series of surveillance cameras footages of the incidents. First witness of the day is a legal observer. She was there that night of the protests and would watch and document any engagement by the police and protesters. Photos of Justine Note shows her walking by the car on the passenger side just feet away. She said that she remembers seeing the driver turn to get out of the car. Defense argued that the driver couldn't have gotten out because the light inside the car would have turned on. Unless that light was turned off. I mean, I got my light turned off. Let's see your next witness at the protester there that night on July 25th, 2020. His name was Brandon Keaton. He said that he would attend protests and marches at least once a week after the death of George Floyd. He remembers seeing 6 to 7 people, including Foster, approach the driver's side of the car. When he drove into the crowd, he also saw people approach from the back end of the car and no one directly in front of the car. He says he did not see the driver of the car reach to open the door. He did not see the barrel of the rifle being lifted up. He did say that he did see the driver reach for his right side and lift what looked like a silhouette of a handgun. The driver then pointed to the crowd, 6 and 7, by the driver's door as the window of the car was rolling down. That's where Keaton said that he heard the 3 shots fired. Let's see here. Witness Lyric Cossey attended the protest, claimed that he saw Foster holding his gun at low ready position when approaching the car. He does not believe that Foster pointed the weapon at the driver, but he says he can't be sure. Nico Daisy, whoever that person is, took the stand next to share that he was the protester who fired 3 gunshots. Fired 3 gunshots after the car. This was after the driver fired gunshots and drove off. Daisy also shared who was the first person to render rendered aid to Garrett Foster. He and the ADP noticed that 3 bullet wounds are on Foster's body while rendering aid. Let's see here. Of course, he says, how's this guy not facing charges of any kind? It's a miracle he didn't get ricocheted a shot and killed someone. Of course, I think this one right here. Let's see. Oh, I have to sign in for that. Yeah, no worries. So that is day 2 and day 3 of this case. If the reporting is honest and this is actually what's happening, it definitely paints Sgt Perry in a negative light. I still think it's going to be a tough case to prove that he intended to drive through it. I forget where I read it, but it says that he wasn't paying attention to the road because he was texting someone that they're going to meet up, and then it turned out to be a prostitute. So he was frustrated at that. I guess I'm assuming I'm putting assumptions out there. But the forensic says that was 2 minutes before he got to the intersection. Wish I was able to find the Fox News, but that's all right. It really doesn't matter. It's just other information. I don't know. I think both the DA and the defense were going to have a tough call or tough to prove their side of the story. It's going to be a he said, she said scenario. And when you put the victim's wife, I mean, not the victim's, yeah, the victim's wife that was there on the at the scene, I think that's going to be powerful testimony. It's going to move a lot of people to prosecute Sergeant Perry. But at the same time, it really comes down to if they could prove that he intended to scare or instigate a reaction by trying to swerve into the road and barely missing them. Was that a accident or was that intentional? And if they could prove it was intentional, then Sergeant Perry would get convicted. If the defense can say that was a mistake, he wasn't paying attention, and you have a whole bunch of people swarming the car, that could probably get him off as well. And also, if it was intentional, the fact that they swarmed his car, and there's probably going to be testimony from previous people, or not previous people, but previous cases where protesters swarmed the car and beat the person senseless. These are all possibilities that I don't know since the court case isn't being recorded, unfortunately. So we had to rely on reporters reporting on the news. But with that being said, that is my video. And I would like to know what your thoughts are on that one down below. And most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.